Pay to win, or pay to advance, or pay for convenience, or however you want to dress it up, is the process of using real-world wealth to gain advantages in a virtual world. Games that use a pay-to-win system may have some advantages for certain types of players, but when a game becomes pay-to-win, or pay to advance, it ends up having some very strange effects on the actual reality of the game's community. And in most cases, it creates a very strange situation where the best way to be good at the game is actually to not play the game. So this video will be looking at the different effects of the pay-to-win system on the gameplay time of the players. Let's discuss. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. I'm Josh Hayes, and this is MMOPinion, a bite-sized show where we talk about topics within the MMO gaming landscape and I give my opinion on them. Drop a like on the video and sub to the channel for more MMO stuff, and ring the bell so you don't miss a future video. As usual, a huge thank you to my supporters on Patreon and Twitch who make the channel possible. More on how you can support at the end. For now, let's begin. In this video, I'm going to be focusing on the pay-to-win side of the MMO genre, and it's vital that we define what I mean by this now, because pay-to-win means different things to different people. I'm going to look at 4 main areas of the pay-to-win system, which, when added together, create a very odd gaming environment. These areas do have pros and cons to both businesses and players, but in this video, I'm focusing purely on the gameplay environment that the pay-to-win monetization model creates. The 4 areas are the links and similarities of pay-to-win and pay for convenience, direct wealth transference for in-game power, the mental gymnastics of converting currency, and the efficiency paradox returns. This time, how not playing the game is sometimes the most effective way to play the game. So let's start with defining some common terms. Some people assume pay to win means directly exchanging real money for increased power in the game. So items, levels, unique overpowered classes, extra stats, upgrading chances, downgrading protection, PvP potions. They assume pay to win literally means you give money and you win the game. Some people like to subdivide pay to win into smaller camps, like paying for convenience or paying to advance. These would be gaining advantages in the game that makes your journey easier or faster, but don't directly give you the end game things. A good example of pay for convenience would be teleporting stones to make transport between cities faster, experience boosting potions that still require you to do some of the leveling, or buying a better, faster mount than any free player could get. Something better than the game gives you as standard. People argue that pay to advance or pay for convenience isn't the same as directly paying to win, because you're only giving yourself an advantage while you still need to do the content. You're not skipping content entirely. For this video, I will be classing pay to win, pay for convenience, and pay to advance quicker all as the exact same thing, because in my broad definition, they are the same thing. To me, pay to win simply means you are able to exchange real-world wealth for in-game advantages. And here's the important part: the more wealth you exchange, the greater the advantage you get. Simply put, the more you spend on the game, the easier it becomes and the more likely you are to win. It's not always a guarantee because sometimes there are RNG systems or gacha mechanics, but it's highly skewed in your favour if you pay more money. An experience potion or a better mount or more inventory space might not be considered winning directly, but they are huge in-game advantages over the long term, so I'm classing it as pay to win. So which games are pay to win? Well, honestly, once you dive into the reality of wealth transfer to in-game advantage, almost all of them, including RuneScape and World of Warcraft, 2 games that many people will insist are not pay to win. But don't worry, I'm going to justify this stance with examples later on. With the terms defined, let's look at the basic examples of paying to win, so we're all on the same page. This is the direct wealth transfer for power in the game method. The majority of free-to-play games are also pay to win, because as I've discussed before, free games favour the cash shop over the player, and as most players want to win, they sell them the means to do so. Here's proof. Neverwinter is a free action MMO set in the Dungeons & Dragons universe. You are able to buy Zen, the premium currency owned by Cryptic and used on all of their MMOs. Then buy things in the Zen store, including campaign completion tokens, meaning you instantly receive all the power boosts associated with finishing the month-long story campaigns. You can also buy powerful mounts with passive combat powers, extra inventory bags, weapon enchantments, upgrade stones, and even unique races with huge passive buffs. To see if a game is pay to win, we simply need to do a thought experiment. Imagine if 2 identical people played this game for an identical amount of time, but one of those people spent several hundred to several £1,000s or dollars on it. Would the person spending money advance faster and become more powerful than the person not spending money? If yes, then the game is pay to win, and in this case, it absolutely is. So how about another free-to-play game with the same issue? Runes of Magic. A brand new player can spend real money to buy diamonds, the premium currency, and then spend those diamonds to buy more inventory space, buy the fastest mount in the game, or just straight up buy a title that grants powerful passive buffs. You can even get some cosmetic wings, then add runes to those wings and instantly start the game much more powerful than other players because the required level to equip the rings is 1. These are two direct examples of free-to-play games straight up selling you power, but you'll notice they've both done something similar. They don't sell the items directly, they add a middle step, the premium currency. And this is done for a reason. This step is a major psychological trick that companies use when selling you in-game items. The human brain is excellent at directly correlating two things with a direct link. If I tell you a powerful sword is worth £5, you know the exact value. That sword is worth £5 and you know how much £5 is worth in your everyday life. You are able to compare that sword to the cost of a drink or the cost of a small lunch. You know how much £5 would be able to get you. But if I introduce a step between the item and the money, it's suddenly a lot harder. If I now tell you that one sword is worth 552 diamonds and you can buy 120 diamonds for £1.90, you now have to add in many extra conversion steps. The sword is no longer directly linked to money. The sword is linked to diamonds, and the diamonds are linked to money, and the more complex you make this conversion, the better for the company. Because you, as a person and as a player, do not work in the currency of diamonds for your everyday life, so now you don't actually know how much the sword is worth without doing some maths. It's an intentional step to make analysing the prices of anything much harder. Mobile games are the worst for this. They will stack currency on top of currency, often having several steps of conversion or several different currencies for different systems. And it's all designed to confuse the buyer and make directly linking the item to the actual price harder to do. So pay-to-win games, meaning any game that allows players to spend money to gain benefits over other players, allow people to trade real-world wealth for in-game power or advantages, often through several steps of premium currency conversion to hide how much you're actually spending, because humans are bad at tracking conversion rates in their own mind. But that's not even the worst part of this. It gets even stranger. And this is where the effect on gameplay really starts to show. And I'm going to illustrate this point with an example first and then expand on it. Now this can only exist in games where the company directly sell you items or advantages that you can then sell to other players. In old school RuneScape, many players rank the bossing or skilling activities on how much profit they generate per hour, and one of the best is killing the dragon Warcraft. It's a solo boss that, if done efficiently, with mid to high level equipment, can generate about 3 million gold profit an hour. This is without factoring in super rare drops or dying. But old school RuneScape also has another system, the official Jagex Bond. This is an item you can buy from the company and then either redeem for in-game membership or sell to another player on the Grand Exchange. That's the in-game market board. Currently, one bond costs £4 and can be sold in-game right now for around 4 million coins. Knowing this, let's do some maths. The national minimum wage in the UK for a 21 to 24-year-old is £8.20 an hour. It goes up when you're older. This means within 1 hour of work, if you were to spend your wages on RuneScape bonds, you'd be able to buy just over 2 bonds. Then if you sold those 2 bonds, you'd make 8 million gold. This means if we converted real-life minimum wage to RuneScape gold via bond buying and selling, which is completely legal within the game, you'd be making 8 million gold an hour just by working a minimum wage job. That's almost 3 times more effective than killing Warcraft. You are making more RuneScape gold in the real world than you are in RuneScape. This means if you and I were both racing to see who could become richer on RuneScape and we had, say, a week to do this and you spent the entire week killing Vorkath and I spent the entire week at work, I would beat you by almost triple just by spending my wages on bonds and then selling them. This is the reality of any game that sells you gold or items you can sell for gold. The same is true of the Blizzard token on World of Warcraft. You can buy a Blizzard token from the shop and then sell it in-game right now. One Blizzard token costs £17, which can be sold on one of the EU realms for just shy of 200,000 gold. It would take you just over 2 hours to earn £17 at national minimum wage in the UK, so this means unless you can find a method to make at least 100,000 gold an hour in World of Warcraft consistently, you would actually be making more money in the game and earning more efficiently by going to work and then spending your wages on the token and selling it to other players. This means both RuneScape and World of Warcraft have systems where you can buy stuff, then sell that stuff for in-game gold, then use the in-game gold to buy items, weapons, or effectively power. Old school RuneScape has the Barbarian Assault minigame, and clans will sell you carries through it to get the powerful fighter torso, and WoW guilds will sell carries through mythic raids to get the rewards at the end. So both games have direct correlations using completely legal in-game systems between money spent and power gained. This all ultimately boils down to this: if you play the game for a time, you will advance, but if you go to work for the same amount of time, then spend the wages you earned on the game, you will advance more. If a game is pay to win, then the people who play the most will actually advance the least, because playing the game is never ever the most efficient method of advancing in a pay-to-win game. If you could grind for 10 hours to gain the gold to buy something in-game, or work for 3 or 4 hours, then spend your wages to buy the gold to get the same thing, you're going to be better at the game and get the item quicker by going to work. It leads to this really strange situation where if you want to be the highest level with the best equipment and the most powerful items, you actually want to spend the least amount of time actually playing, because that's the least efficient way to get what you want. If you want to be rich in the game, then go to work and buy the items that you can sell for gold, because that's the fastest way to achieve it. If you want to own the rarest equipment, then spend the money on the premium currency and just buy it. Many people now pay for their RuneScape membership or WoW membership by grinding the game for hours and hours and then buying the bonds or tokens from other people for in-game gold and then redeeming them for membership. And if you do that, then that's great. You're not spending any of your own money, you're just spending time in the game. But you must be aware that when the conversion rate of a minimum wage job is so great in both games, you're actually gaining those memberships in a very time-inefficient way. Do you see what this will always cause? It causes the community to split into those who play the game for many, many hours and manage to become mid to high tier, and those who don't play the game much and instantly jump to top tier because they spent the money. The hardcore players are angered at seeing their time investment in the game isn't as important to their power level as other people's financial investment in the game. If you've ever played a game for a few hours or weeks or even years and then seen a brand new player shoot past you in power because they paid more money than you did, you'll know how disheartening this feels. And ultimately, this is the reality of all pay-to-win games. The players who spend the most amount of time in the game won't ever reach the same power levels as the players who spend the most amount of money in it. Now, some of you may be proud of playing a pay-to-win game and never spending any money and still maintaining a high power level because you played so much, you stayed powerful and you beat the whales, and that's great. But in that case, your cost wasn't paid with money. It was paid with time. Because remember how in most of these pay-to-win games, playing the game is actually the least efficient way to gear up? If you want to be powerful in the game, especially if you're looking at a long-term commitment, your time might be better spent finding a job and then spending your wages on the in-game cash shop. If you are proud that you have spent your time doing a repetitive, monotonous money-gaining task in a game for 300 or 400 hours just to avoid paying the same amount of money you would have earned from 30 or 40 hours worth of work, it might be worth asking if your time in the game was actually enjoyed, and if it wasn't, if it's actually efficient to continue. This is the second efficiency paradox we've encountered in this series, and in relation to pay-to-win games, it's because playing the game is the slowest way to become powerful at the game. So, pay-to-win games, they allow you to buy advantages, boosts, and power in a game, meaning the real-life wealthy are already playing with an advantage, they can use multiple currency conversions to hide the true cost of things from you, and they make it so actually playing the game is very often the least efficient way to increase in power, leading to a player base where the high-spending casual players are often much more powerful than the longer-playing, lower-paying players. What do you think about this reality? Do you believe this is a fair way for games to operate, rewarding the players who spend more money on them regardless of time played? Or do you believe in-game power should only be achievable through in-game means and time dedicated to actually playing the game? Let me know in the comments below, and in the future we'll look into more deep dives into the pay-to-win model. Another big thank you to my supporters on Patreon and Twitch who make my videos and my channel possible. You can have your name up there and support the Patreon from only £1 a month. Check the video description for links to the Patreon, Twitch, Twitter and Discord, and as always, have a great day.